Imagine for a second you met 3 people and were asked to guess how much money each person had in their bank account. Well, a good guess would be that one of the 3 would have less than $1,000 in the bank account, and if you're living in today's world, then you can appreciate that $1,000 won't get you very far. It's for this reason that in order to live comfortably, you must have proper saving practices in place, and when it comes to saving, the rich have it figured out. You see, the rich employ a secret saving trick that most people don't know. But in this video, I will share with you the secret saving trick of the rich so you can start saving more immediately. And if you're new to the channel, then hit the subscribe button below for more life-changing content. If you look at the stats of savings balances in the United States, you'll see a wide array of financial prosperity. Like I just mentioned, almost a third, or more specifically 29% of Americans have less than $1,000 stashed away. As I've preached in numerous videos, having a year's worth of living expenses is critical to maintaining a proper financial well-being. And with more than 100 million Americans having less than $1,000 set aside, it's probably fair to assume that this financial safety net isn't in place. So what's holding so many people back from funding their piggy banks? While each individual's financial situation is unique to them, some of the most common reasons for failing to save include not being able to cover their bills, not prioritizing saving, not having a high enough income, and trying to pay off debt. With the cost of living increasing every year and salaries lagging in their growth, it's no wonder so many people have little to no savings. But statistics aren't bleak for everyone. In fact, there are millions of Americans with substantial savings to fall back on. The top 10% of American households have just under $1 million in savings, so it's fair to say that there are tons of Americans who are adept at stashing away money. So how do they do it? Well, I can't speak for all of them, but I know for a fact that many of them are using the secret saving trick of the rich. This money saving trick originated almost 3 decades ago when a man who was trying to make it big in Hollywood realized that if he didn't find an effective way to save money, that he would have to move back to his hometown and lose the chance of realizing his dream of becoming a world-famous comedian. At the time, the man was working like most people do, at a typical 9-to-5 job. Specifically, the man was working as a car salesman at a local car dealership, and while some months, when he sold lots of cars, he was able to stash away a decent amount of money, other months car sales were slow and he had to pool together all of his money just to pay rent. Stressed by the constant flux in income levels, the man wondered how much longer he could handle the emotional turmoil of making an inconsistent income. Luckily, in the upcoming months, the man began getting paid for his comedy spots, and slowly but surely, this income allowed the man to build up his savings. While he was far from being a household name, the man's income coming in from his paid comedy shows began to increase month after month. Soon, he was making a few $1,000s a month, which when he calculated it, was enough to cover his rent and a few of his bills. At this point, the man was still working at the car dealership, but his stress surrounding his inconsistency in pay began to subside due to the income he was gaining through his comedy work. Finally, a few years into his comedy journey, his career really started to take off, and he began making more money in comedy than at his 9-to-5 job. However, while the man was making more money than he had ever earned before, he never forgot how stressed he would feel when he had little savings to fall back on, and so while he could afford to quit his sales job, he decided to keep it with a plan in mind. The man thought to himself that if he could continue making good money in comedy and bank his whole car sales paycheck, he could start to see his savings exponentially increase. And this is when the 2-income savings technique was born. In practice, the 2-income savings technique works by creating 2 streams of income. One that you use to cover your living expenses, and one that is meant entirely for saving. Now, you may be wondering which famous comedian came up with this savings technique, and it was none other than the Tonight Show host Jay Leno. As previously explained, for Jay, using this approach meant saving the money he earned working at a car dealership and spending the money he made doing comedy. While this may seem like a simple saving technique, don't underestimate just how powerful it can be. It can become such an ingrained part of your saving mindset that even when you begin earning more money than you could ever imagine, you could still find yourself using it, which is exactly what happened to Jay Leno. During his years hosting The Tonight Show, Leno made tens of millions of dollars a year, but still made sure to perform 150 comedy gigs a year, so that he could live off his tour income while saving his whole television salary. In fact, to this day, Leno's never touched a dime from his Tonight Show money. And I can personally attest to just how powerful the saving technique can be. You see, for the past year I've been using it to great success. Similar to Leno, I've been living off one of my incomes and saving 100% of the other. In my own case, I'm living off the income I earn from my 9-to-5 job and banking every single dollar I earn through my online business ventures, with YouTube being one of them. Now, I realize that not everyone has more than one income stream, which would allow them to be able to capitalize on this powerful money-saving technique. And shortly, I will share with you 3 ways you can supplement your income. But before I do, I want to highlight one important fact. While this money-saving method revolves around living off one income and saving the entirety of the other, this doesn't mean you need to spend every dime you earn from your spending income. In fact, I use the 50-30-20 method when budgeting using my 9-to-5 income, which means that 20% of my salaried earnings are already being sent into a savings account every month, which is then complemented by the income I earn through my other sources of income. So, as a word of advice, if you decide to adopt the 2-income saving technique, this doesn't give you the green light to spend 100% of one income if you don't need to. And by maintaining frugality in your spending ways, you can see your savings account compound surprisingly quickly. So with that out of the way, how can you add a new source of income to expedite your own savings process? Let me share with you 3 proven ways to begin earning a second or extra income so that you too can capitalize on the 2-income saving technique. Method number 1, freelance. In my own experience, freelancing can be an excellent way to earn some extra cash. I suggest it so often because doing freelance work gives you the option to pick up the projects you want to work on, which can make the work feel less like work and more like fun. For instance, when I was doing business consulting for some small business owners, helping them market their business felt much more like fun than work, which is why I kept them as clients for as long as I did. However, when I suggest freelancing as a means of making money, I always get asked the question, but what if I don't have any services to offer? If this sounds like you, don't worry, everyone has at least a few skills they can monetize. It just takes some work to identify what they are. This is why I suggest to anyone thinking of starting a freelance side hustle to list out 10 skills or services they think people will be interested in paying them for, and then testing them out on freelance websites at low rates until their skills merit charging more. In fact, if you have a hard time getting clients when you first start out, offer to do some work for free until you build strong enough relationships with the clients that they will begin to hire you on a consistent basis. That's what I did in the beginning, and once the relationships were formed, earning freelance income was never a struggle again. Method number 2, starting an online business. Another means of making money is by starting and growing an online business. Since you will likely be using the 2-income approach for years to come, just like Leno, it makes sense to build a business over time that will provide you with a steady stream of income. Your online business could revolve around anything, from selling software, physical products, advertising, or even coaching if you have expertise in a particular area. Now, obviously there's a lot that goes into creating a business based on these models, like getting traffic, building an audience, launching a product or services, but it's quite doable if you have the patience and determination. Moreover, unlike freelancing, which is classified as active income, many online businesses can be quite passive in nature, allowing you to bank your income with little ongoing work. One prime example of this arrangement is a blog. Once you have a website set up, you can begin paying freelance writers to draft and publish articles, and over time your site will rank and you can begin earning ad revenue and sponsor post income with little to no effort. Method number 3, get a second job. As of 2019, more than 13 million Americans have 2 or more jobs, and if you want to streamline your savings efforts, then picking up a second job may be the solution for your savings problems. You see, unlike the other 2 income generation methods I previously went over, the benefit of picking up a second job is that you can start earning extra money right away. Admittedly, getting freelance clients and starting an online business can take some time to gain traction, but getting another job ensures that you start getting paid ASAP. While you may sigh at the thought of holding down 2 jobs, the reality is that you don't need to work a significant amount of hours at your second job to see your savings start to add up. For instance, if you were able to get a job paying you $15 an hour and you worked one 8-hour shift a week at your second job, you'd be pulling in an extra $480 a month, or more than $5,000 a year. While you can't exactly retire on this amount of money, it can certainly help kickstart your savings efforts while not completely burning you out or turning you into a workaholic. Now, these are just 3 examples of ways you can make extra money, and there are hundreds of other ways, you just have to research them. Ultimately, you don't want to be one of the 78% of Americans who are struggling to make ends meet month after month. And by living off your regular 9-to-5 income and then supplementing your income by other means, you can actually increase your savings accounts and probably have more money set aside than most of the people you know. In short, if you want to go from a savings zero to a savings hero, then start employing the 2-income saving technique to ensure that your savings, and more importantly, your wealth increases over time. Thanks for watching. If you want to go from the life you have to the life you deserve, then hit the subscribe button now.